If your business is not growing the way you want it to, it may not be your strategy. It may be the identity driving your decisions. Welcome to Biz Help for You, where passionate support and practical guidance help your business thrive. Today, I'm joined by Davida Shensky, a business strategist and founder of Career Performance Institute, who helps entrepreneurs turn complexity into clarity. We're talking about how identity, awareness, and systems all work together to shape your results. This conversation will help you look beyond your to-do list and start making changes that actually move your business forward. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
Mm-hmm. Well, Davida, I just read in the intro that it says results could be a reflection of our identity. So I'd love for you to just explain what that means for a business owner who feels stuck and they're not growing.
Well, when you're branding yourself, you need, and everyone, it's like when you see the arches for McDonald's, you automatically know it's McDonald's. Or when
Mm-hmm.
you see the big boy, you automatically know it's Shoney's. Well, how are you going to brand yourself? What is the one thing that makes you unique and different that you can use, whether it's your logo, your colors, or whatever in your business? You want people to automatically think about you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and sometimes people struggle with that, trying to figure out even what color should I use? What should I have for a logo? I don't know, really what I should do to set myself apart. So do you have any tips on maybe what they should be doing to start creating that brand?
Well, kind of look at specifically where your niche is in your business, because everyone wants to go, oh, everyone. But if
Mhm.
you try to reach everyone, then what you're doing is you're so broad that you really are too broad. You
Mhm.
have to know what the pain point is of that person, whether it's a specific age group, if you're going towards senior citizens. And like currently, I'm working on a program that's teaching people how to become aware of scams on the internet, because whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's, you know, whatever, you want to, that when you are creating an income for yourself, you don't want to be the scammer, because all it's going to do is be a bad reflection on you. And and then that becomes your brand to the general public. So how are you going to become narrowing it down to what age group, whether it's women or whether it's men, or whether it's people that are having specific problems? You need to look at what is their pain point. Now, when you look at your logo, you want it to reflect that specific niche that you're reaching. So you may want to research what things they do, what they look at, what attracts them, and kind of gear your brand towards that.
Mhm. Well, if someone is starting out, or maybe they've been in business for a while, but they don't really have a specific niche, they're still very broad. I've heard some people say too, like, I can help anyone with skin or spine or, things like that too, right? And so they're like, well, I'm not sure how to narrow to be able to market and know their pain points. So do you have any tips on if someone, like I said, they're just starting out, they're not sure who they should maybe be focused on, or someone who has been doing it for a while, but they need to really think about how to really narrow that?
Okay,
What would you say?
look at your experience. Who who are the people that are attracted to you the most? That would be your niche. That's the people that you want to focus on. And then you look at what is their specific pain point, what is their specific issue that they're dealing with. And you have to look at it from the standpoint of, say it's a cosmetic product and everyone's into cosmetics. Well, is it an older person who wants to look younger? Is it a younger person who's trying to look more mature? Or even when it comes to clothing. Because remember when hot pants became a big thing, and all of a sudden you would see people who didn't have the right shape wearing hot pants just simply because it was the niche, the big buzzword of that moment.
Mhm.
And yet you have to look at what specifically is your product,
Mhm.
who actually needs it the most, and how do you get that message across. And one thing I want to tell you is that now we have AI. If you put that information into AI, it can help you with finding your niche, with help you
Mhm.
finding your age group that you want to reach and what their pain point is.
Mhm. That's a good point too, because a lot of people are afraid to use AI too, but it's definitely a tool that can help you with some of that as well too. And you can fine tune it after that. You could get some ideas from it too, right? And then just say, well, I'm going to take this and I'm going to fine tune it a little bit more.
Wow, of course my phone goes off.
Mhm.
It'll go. But now it's so funny because when you're dealing with business today, how are you going to serve specific people in a specific area, right?
Mhm.
And and people don't understand artificial intelligence because they don't really know what it is. Do your due diligence, find out how you can use it. You see, it started out with Chat GTP. Now you've got where Microsoft involves Gemini and all of this. And like I use the high level platform, and they have what they call the AI employee, which what it does is on them you can connect, you can set up your AI agent, then you have to use the conversation AI to tell that how to work, how to do it. Then you set up your workflow with your trigger points.
Mhm.
And you can actually use AI to help you figure out what your trigger points are. Then, what just all the products, like if you like in my case, I'm doing an e-learning course, a challenge, a masterclass, a mastermind. How do I connect all those things? How do I do the one thing that hooks them to bring them in?
Mhm.
Then how do I set up that workflow so it gets them to, okay, you're getting the free gift. Now I want you to look at getting the ebook or
Mhm.
getting upselling to a course. Once you do that, how and you learn about it, how are you going to take it to the next level and actually implement it? That's where your challenge comes in. So you want
Right.
when you use AI, instead of you having to deal with it on a daily basis yourself, it helps you. You can set up the workflow so it knows when someone says something specific, you take it this way. When they say something
Mhm.
different, you take it another way.
Right. Well, I would love to potentially discuss also some of the common beliefs or identity patterns that might be holding entrepreneurs back. So, we already talked about, of course, being too broad, but I'm sure you've seen other things that are beliefs that maybe are incorrect beliefs, that are preventing them from the success that they want to see.
Well, I think what you're also seeing is that people want to be broad because they want to try and reach as many people, and they don't understand that when you niche it down to a specific group, it may be a smaller group, but that's the group that once they buy from you, they
Mhm.
will continue to buy from you, and you can do the upsells or you can do cross sells
Mhm.
from one
Right.
product to another product. Well,
Mhm.
think about cosmetics. Like you may walk in and you maybe look, and what do they do? First thing they do is have you do a makeover. And
Mhm.
then they start giving you each little product. And you may have walked in because you may have wanted a lipstick. But because
Mhm.
they can show you how each little thing works with each other little thing, and then you joint venture with someone else who has a cross product that the two of you work together and they can help cross promote you to their customers.
Mhm. Right. So it sounds like then too, one of the things is not being afraid maybe of other people who could partner with you, not necessarily seeing competition per se, but like you said, if someone is doing maybe one type of cosmetic program and maybe someone else has something else that pairs well with it, it's okay to pursue that relationship and not be afraid that they're going to be competing with you.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's like it takes a village to make it all work. No,
Mhm.
no, you can't do things yourself. You have to have a team
Mhm.
because you can't. It's like when you try to wear all hats, you're going to fail. But if you wear the specific hat where it's your strength and
Mhm.
then bring in someone else whose strength is your weakness, then the two of you work together to push it forward. It's
Mhm.
like looking at a goal and it's far down the road, not knowing what to do or how to do it. And
Mhm.
there's a story that I read that I like to tell where the farmer took his grandson with him to go plant the field. And the grandson looked at it and says, it's too big. Then what he said to him was, turn around so your back is to the end, plant each one so you can see how you're going along until you get to the end. And then it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
Mhm. Right. Well, and that's a good point too, because we do feel overwhelmed oftentimes with all the things, that we have to do. And so sometimes we can lose, the motivation even to continue doing that. So I would love for you maybe to talk about how systems can also help, so we're not feeling that overwhelm and it can, have us on a more systemized process to make things more consistent.
Well, what I'm going to do is talk about just, before technology, 30, 40 years ago, when someone went into business for themselves, you had to have an overhead. Like as a speaker, it wasn't just attending Toastmasters. It wasn't just attending National Speakers Association. It was going out and and then you had to have someone come in and videotape you. So you had your media kit to send out. How technology has helped that? Well, now you have your website. You can put your videos on your website, or you can put your videos on your channel in YouTube, or even like your podcast. It streams into different sites, different platforms. And that's how technology has allowed us to run a business and not have that overhead because it's much less to do it in the way they do it today. Because I mean, everything has that audio, that video, that all incorporated, and you don't have to go out and buy the DVDs and have them printed up because all of that was an expense in the past that
Right.
now just by taking one video and uploading it to different platforms, you've spread yourself.
hmm Well, I think too, you have to write out your process for all of that too, right? Because you don't want to be doing everything yourself. So you want to have help. And then the person who's helping you needs to know your process as well too. So do you want to talk about, creating systems that other people can follow so that you don't have to do all the work yourself as the entrepreneur?
Well, look at multi-level marketing. Look how it became successful because it was built on a specific system. The one reason that I think people have gotten a bad taste in their mouth about network marketing because it is a good system, but it's like instead of telling people recruit someone who already has an interest, and this goes back to being general, anyone they would use the 3 foot rule. Well, the 3 foot rule doesn't work if you don't have someone who already has an interest in doing that.
hmm Right. Exactly. Well, but as entrepreneurs, we wear so many hats, right? We're trying to do the sales and marketing and human resources and the actual work a lot of the time, social media management, whatever it is. We have so many hats, and so we do need to be able to offload those tasks so we're not completely overwhelmed, and having somebody able to help you is important, to be able to do that. And so they have to know your process though, so that they can follow it and you're going to be happy with the results.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, and it's every industry has a system that it
Mhm.
works with that makes it work.
Mhm. Right.
I mean, it's like, how could each of these platforms work if you don't have someone that inputs the code?
Mhm. Right.
That makes it work. If even AI, it wouldn't work if the back end wasn't being done right with the right codes to tell it how to work.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
So we all know too that there are invisible leaks in businesses, and I would love to know, what are some of the things that you have seen in the past that are these invisible leaks, and how can business owners start identifying them in their own businesses?
Well, okay. Now, first, you need to look at what is your strength, what is your specialty, what is it that you enjoy doing. Then you need to find someone else. Like your niche is bookkeeping, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But now you still need the marketing end. You still need the giving the message out, and look at it from this way as a speaker. Prior to doing what we do today on webinars, you had the seminars. To do the seminars, you had to get on with the company. Then they would have you travel. And I'm going to tell you and go back and tell you how this worked because it's real interesting. Back in the day when you worked for a seminar company, what you did was you flew out on Sunday to the first location. You had to be there at 7 in the morning because you had to set the room up, make sure everything worked. Then you did the presentation, and that ended at 5 or 6. Then you have to close the room, take everything that didn't sell, and send it back. Then you got to get in a car, travel to the next city that you're going to be in the next day, and this would go from Monday through Friday, and then you would fly back home on maybe Friday night or Saturday morning, and then repeat that. So by and the difference is how technologies help us. You don't have to work for the seminar company. You can have something where it's your specific product, or
Mhm.
either you represent a company like I back in the day, I represented what was in the beginning Performance and Personal Dynamics. They merged to become Carlson companies. Then they were bought out as Inscape Publishing, and now they're owned by Wiley Publishing. And their main thing is the disc. And the disc is different, and everyone knows the disc because they can understand the disc. Whereas if you were doing the Myers Briggs, you had to be a psychologist to be able to use that particular tool,
Mhm.
right? So as we see how industries change as technology implements and changes things,
Mhm.
right?
Right. Mhm. Right.
And
Well, and so
it makes your life easier and all everything. Think about it when it was all the horse and buggy, right? And and previously it was like back in the early part of the 20th, you served people that lived on your street in your neighborhood. Today, because of technology, you can be a global business.
Right. Right. Well, and I was thinking, there's different types of leaks in businesses though too. So it could be productivity, right? And you're talking about technology helps, speed that up so you're not wasting so much time. It could be financial, right? It could be, things that are like maybe your employee is in the wrong position. So maybe it's taking them a lot longer to do something well too. So, a lot of times people don't know where to identify those though in their own business, which is what I was, thinking we could talk about.
Yeah, yeah. Back in the day, when you worked with corporations, right? and they did train the trainer sessions. They would actually train their employees to move them up into management, move them up into higher positions. Today, they don't even do that in the corporations. You have to come in already knowing that. Where are you going to get that training? That's where you have your e-learning platforms today. And in fact, corporations used to have to pay for their employees to go off campus. And then now with the e-learning, they don't have to do that. They
Hmm.
can do it in their spare time and
Right.
get the training.
Hmm. Right. From the comfort of their home or office, even. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. So a lot of business owners too obviously have a to-do list, and they, live their to-do list on a day-to-day basis, and, get excited when they can check off, oh, I've completed this task, but a lot of times that could take a lot of time, or it's not as efficient either. So how do you help someone shift from this task-based thinking to looking at their business as a full system?
okay. Now, what we're going to talk about here is I know someone who does business plans. People don't realize the importance of having a business plan because that business plan guides you through every little step. It's like I've got a friend who does that, and what we'll be talking about is he had someone that she wanted to go out and take a truck and go out to different events, and sell food, but
Hmm.
she didn't understand the importance of having a business plan in that how much is it going to cost you for food to do that?
Hmm.
How are you going to assess whether or not you're going to festivals and just in general, or do you have to pay to be there? You don't. A lot of people don't understand. You got to know what your finances are to begin with, what you have to get started with, what your outlay of expenses is before you even open the doors, and then uh, what that gas has gone up, this food has gone up, everything has gone up. You got to already have that implemented so that you know what your cash flow is going to be.
Right. Right. Well, I understand all of that too, because I talk with people who are, starting up businesses too, and say, these are all the things you probably need to consider, but in terms of like on a day-to-day basis, like work that has to be done, a lot of times, like I said, the business owners have like, I have to do these 10 things today, right? And they're just happy to check off a task, right? But they don't look at everything working together as one
Yeah,
whole like business system. So if you were working with someone who is just happy to have the little task list, but they don't understand how everything works well together, like how would
yeah.
you help them from just checking off, a list to actually
Okay,
putting it all
okay. Here's
together?
your list. What is the priority that needs to be done today? What is it that you have to do? What can you give off to someone else that doesn't that can do it just as well as you can? And
Hmm.
then what can you put off that doesn't necessarily have to be done today? So
Hmm.
you got to look at it at the point of time management. How am I going to manage my time more effectively in order to get the most done?
Hmm. Right. And properly delegate so that they know how to do it. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it. When people open their doors, they want to wear all the hats and they don't understand. Then what you're doing is you're going to end up in burnout because you can't do everything.
Hmm. Exactly. Well, this has been interesting. I know we're coming to the end of the time we have together. So I wanted to ask, like, do you have an offer that you would like to extend to our listeners? And if they want more information, how can they contact you?
They can contact me at Davida Shensky at onepersonalcareercoach.com, or they can go to my website, which is the number one personalcareercoach.com. And I've got an offer of the 7 flags to recognize a scam when it's out there so that you don't get caught up in it. Because
Mhm.
there's so many things that are going on today, and with so many people desperate for money, it's easy for them to get caught up in a scam that promises them a lot of money. Well, that promises them X amount of dollars.
Mhm. Right.
What if
Mhm.
you need $5,000 for today? And all of a sudden something comes in and you think, oh, wow, this is a great opportunity. And then come to find out it's a scam.
Mhm. Right. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on my show, Davida. I appreciate your taking the time to chat with me today.
Thank you for having me. And I will look see what we can do together later on.
Perfect. And to the listener, I hope you found today's discussion insightful and you learned some things on how to do your business operations maybe a little bit differently than you've been doing so far. And if this resonated with you, please share it with another business owner who needs to hear it. And if you want to hear additional information, you can find access to exclusive content in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.